We don't like talking about ourselves, but today I'm afraid we have to, because two BBC radio stations were forced off the air this morning after a suspected power cut disrupted services. Television Centre in West London was evacuated as Radio 4 and Radio 5 Live went off air during breakfast programmes for about 10 minutes. BBC News 24 was also cut off for a short period, and that's of course why we're in exile down here in Westminster. Live now to our correspondent Daniel Boettcher, who's outside Television Centre. Daniel, what's the problem?
Well, they don't know yet exactly what caused this, but there were reports of a loud noise and smoke in one of the central technical areas at about 5 to 8. This morning the fire brigade was called and looked over that area. They have left again now. But this particular technical area is crucial to the operations in that all of the outside sources, satellite feeds, tape feeds from outside the news operation actually are routed through there. So without that working, it's very difficult to run things as normal. Now, we understand that that area is about 25% up to its normal capacity now, so things are improving, but these problems were far wider than that. In the newsroom, for example, all the screens were blank. That's a very eerie experience in a high-tech newsroom such as the one we have here. You rely so much these days on electronic information through the computers, through the news agencies, through the television monitors. Computers also run a lot of the operation of the bulletins and programs. So with the power cut affecting all of those areas, it was difficult to keep things running, but there are procedures in place just for these kinds of eventualities, and that's why you are now broadcasting from where you are. There are other emergency studios for other outlets, and most programs are now running in some form or other, but technically this has not been dealt with completely yet. It will take several hours to get things back to normal.
So Television Centre, the building behind you, is everyone back in again?
Yes, people are back in there. It takes a while to reset the kinds of things that went down this morning. The computer systems, for example, they need to be reset before all of that information flow runs again as usual. But there are teams in there working again, but other production staff are still in the various other emergency and backup studios as well. So some programs are actually running things in parallel. So there's people working on a number of sites to get things back in order, to get things running as they should be.
And Daniel, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but is there any precedent for this, such a massive power failure affecting such a lot of outlets on BBC?
Well, it is extremely rare because there are usually power backup systems which should be able to cope with these kinds of problems. But if something as central as this technical control area go down, and we still don't know, as I say, exactly what the problem was there, it's very difficult to route all the different kinds of signals and systems that are needed to keep the programs running. So, for example, on Breakfast News this morning, the presenters were having to improvise because they couldn't link to the weather presenter, they couldn't link to the regional studios for the regional bulletins coming up to the hour, and so with a power cut of this severity, it is very difficult, even for that backup system, to get things running smoothly again.
Well, an interesting morning for everyone. I hope we'll be back up there later and see you later. Cheers, Daniel.